Howdy-ho, everyone. It's been a while. I'm working on something really crazy, which is I'm going to have Claude Code follow me along and create Substack posts. So if you're interested in this project, let me know, and I'll give you access. And the idea is that you'll be able to subscribe to literally kind of all of the work that I do, including tools and leave behinds and everything. So let's just talk about like AI transformation, go-to-market transformation. I think that there's three things that are necessary to make this thing work exceptionally well. And let's sort of define each of these. So first is sort of picking the problem. And this is the absolute biggest thing that you can do here. And I talk about this as you can think about this as having multiple seesaws and with the leverage at different points. So that triangle, the fulcrum, if you will move. And so what you should try to do is to find the projects where you can get the most leverage, where the projects are going to have gigantic implications on churn, on customer acquisition. And so you should only pick things that are like both as ambitious, and this gets to my sort of next piece, as well defined as possible. So if you say something like, I want to be able to change the way that I get all my leads, all right, well, that's not really well defined. But if you say something like, if all of our reps could know every single day if any X or Y or Z happened, and here is what X, Y, or Z looks like, that is a great project. Oh, and by the way, that if we can do that, we have a 90% chance of closing. It's well-defined. It has high leverage. It's spending a lot of human capital time. And also, if it exists in the world, it just means that you're very, very likely to close, just as one example. So you have to pick a good problem, and that's weeding out 90% of the things that you could do that are AI fancy, right? Then you have to define the work, and this is working backwards from example outputs. The output should look exactly like this with these fields in this way. Here's how we're going to view it. Here's how we're going to use it. And if you don't define it really well, you can't actually execute on it. And this is actually where I think that AI slop is totally okay. For go-to-market, a lot of the stuff that we're doing is we're talking to customers. We are sending campaigns out. And so we basically have a way to validate if this is good. And that's usually the SDR, cold calling, for example. Or it might be chatting with the customer and saying, does this analysis work? Like, is this right? And they're like, no, that's not right for this piece. And that's why this sort of execute on it piece is so important. And what that means is that you ship a bad list to an SDR, they would call it and like, this sucks. And then you'd waddle around for 6 months. It's not that. Ship it on Monday to the SDR. The SDR calls end of day Monday. They report back problems end of day Monday. Those problems make it back to Claude Code or however you're building on Tuesday. That gets shipped back to the SDR on Wednesday, and they can call again. We need to build an accountability structure to ship this data constantly to the market. So I think these are sort of the three things about how you should think about AI transformation: picking the right problem, defining a unit of work where you know what the outcome will look like, you know that it has a ton of value, and you can actually explain it. You're not letting AI do it. And then executing on this thing so rigorously that you can validate if it works. And by the way, you should begin by exploring all of the problems, and those problems you look on two lenses. What is the greatest thing that you could imagine? Imagine you had perfect information to all the data in the world. What project would you imagine? And the second question is, where does a lot of the time exist in the organization? Define all of that, and then define the unit of work. Is this likely to be successful? Do we know what a good output looks like? And then pick the projects that have the biggest imagination or can suck the most time out of the organization. And what I mean by that is like give people back time in their jobs, that has the clearest definition of success where you have defined it, and then iterate fast, project manage the hell out of that thing. Don't worry about errors or omissions or things that are wrong. Now, obviously, don't update your banking records with this, but for the most go-to-market stuff, just lean into the errors and fix them, because you can fix really, really, really quickly. This, I think, is the core of what makes an AI go-to-market transformation motion successful. And if you're interested in my new project that is going to track me on all the stuff that I build and leave all of the products that I build behind for a yearly subscription, let me know. Thanks. Bye.